So a few weeks ago, I was refereeing for Prime BJJ Tournaments, and I refereed the blue belt no-gi medium heavyweight division, and the matches were very good, and interesting things happened in each match, and I want to share with you, the matches and why I scored them the way I did, that kind of stuff. Here we go. So the first match was the nearby fellow here. I believe he was from Australia, and the other fellow is a local fellow. I'm telling them the only footlock here allowed is a straight Achilles, that wrist locks are allowed, and off we go. Squaring off with one another. The fellow in the black there shoots in, and the Australian fellow prevents that from occurring. And the fellow in black pulls butterfly guard, so that's not worth any points, He shot in, it didn't work, he pulled guard, so be it. Now from butterfly guard, he's looking for maybe some kind of butterfly sweep, but the Australian fellow is being very low and very wide, so that's good. And the fellow in black, I believe, begins looking to attack that arm that he's overhooked there. But see, he's trying to put a little bit of pressure on the guy's elbow there, do the Frank mirror lock, or whatever you want to call it, But the Australian fellow is stopping that, so the guy in the black there switches to a closed guard, which is more, more submissions, triangle, arm lock, kimura, that kind of stuff. And now the Australian fellow is posturing up to prevent the closed guard from, being a threat. And the guy dressed in black there is trying to now prevent him from posturing up. He's attacking his grips, attacking his wrists, trying to pull him down, trying to hug him, that kind of stuff. Because you have more submission opportunities when the guy's all bent over than when he's all postured up. See, he's trying like an arm drag to back sweep there, but no dice, so to speak. I think the Australian fellow is looking at the scoreboard to see if he got anything awarded to him for the for whatever, but thus far, no. Sprawling there. Sometimes when it's no-gi, it can be kind of hard to attain posture and maintain posture because there's nothing you're allowed to hold on to, In no-gi, you're not allowed to grab onto material and whatnot, so people can be slippery or what have you, so it's a bit harder to posture, so you got to sometimes be more creative, so to speak, with your attempts to open and pass guard. And similarly, as the guy on the bottom, there's some sweep attempts, flower sweep and back sweep and, also known as the belly bump. There's some submissions there, like I said, kimura, triangle, arm lock, but the guy on top there is trying to open the guard by sprawling in a way there. The guy on bottom here is attacking with some kind of kimura attempt. So they're both doing, both looking for their opportunities, both trying to create opportunities and take advantage of them, so to speak, and I'm just standing there looking good. Swish. Neither of them are stalling at this point, but quite clearly the guy on top is trying to posture and open the guard. The guy on the bottom is trying to prevent him from doing that. And like I said, in a no-gi situation, sometimes that can be, it can be difficult because there's not anything to grab onto. Oh, you can see the guy, he's putting both his hands in here. So the guard's going to get open, but there is a risk here of being guillotined. But the guy in black doesn't look for the guillotine. The guy in the white and blue, the Australian's trying to pass. The guy in black's trying to sort of slide away, but you can see the guy in blue and white got head control. Once a person gets head control, it's very hard to escape, and he has effectively passed the guard here. So I'm watching carefully. There's the 3 points for passing guard. Bear in mind that 3 is for passing guard. You don't get 3 points for side control. Side control itself is worth nothing. Passing the guard is worth 3. Now the guy on top is maintaining his side control. He steps over his head, which can cause the people to reach up and stuff, open up submission opportunities. The guy in the bottom is looking for an opportunity to escape. And in a no-gi situation, sometimes you can escape just by being kind of slippery and thrashy a little bit, being explosive, but sometimes it's easier said than done. And the guy on top there, the Australian fellow, is now starting to think about maybe submission opportunities, He's a long-armed individual, such as myself. So you can see in a moment what he attempts to think. They're north-south here for a second. He changes sides or what have you, maintains side control. And now he's putting his arm through there to attack with a darce. And it's pretty on. You can't see from here, but from where I'm standing, it is very deep. Like he has that darce, or whatever you call it, fully applied. And from here, I'm pretty sure this match is over. Like I'm just waiting for the guy in black to tap. And then the Australian fellow, from here, as you can see, he puts a butterfly hook. And then as he's going over, to me, it looked like that guy was completely unconscious. I realized from here, it doesn't look like that. But from where I was standing, I was certain that the Australian fellow was sweeping a person who was already unconscious. And it's funny, the guy in black, his coach is like, just put him back in the choke. And I'm like, you can't put a guy back in a choke. Once a referee has stopped a fight, he has stopped the fight, you know? And I was certain that guy was asleep. So I stopped the fight. You know, and nobody got choked to death, so it's a win for everyone. On to the next match. It's that Australian fellow again versus another local guy, although I think the guy there in the black was maybe from Mexico, I think. So more of an international contest, you know? And pretty clear that the fellow in black there is more of a wrestler. See, he's shooting a single here. The guy from Australia is countering that. You can tell by the different body types. I mean, what would be advantageous for the fellow in black is definitely takedowns. And advantageous for the other fellow is, you know, he's a taller individual, so if he wanted to, he probably could pull a closed guard and make something out of it, but sometimes pulling guard in a no-gi situation can be treacherous, so to speak, so he's electing to stand and trade takedown attempts with the fellow, which is cool. And there you go. He tried to take down. The fellow who is now on top countered it and turned it into his own takedown, and I have awarded 2 points for that. So the fellow in black is now up 2-0. And the Australian fellow is now trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do, actually. Turn that into some kind of rolling omoplata or something. Yep. The fellow in black there is trying to maintain a guard pass, but he wasn't able to do it. So I give him an advantage for almost passing guard. I mean, he was side control for a few seconds, but he wasn't able to keep it. And then they both got to their knees. Now he's fallen back for a guillotine. And from there, I'm not awarding points because it wasn't a sweep. It wasn't a takedown. Sweeps happen from guards and takedowns happen from standing. And the fellow in black there almost passed the guard. Then they got back to their knees. And from there, he pulled guillotine or pulled guard and went for a guillotine. So that's not worth any points because it's not a sweep. You know, nobody used their guard to go bottom to top. It wasn't a takedown. They weren't on their feet with, you know, somebody putting somebody else down. So that's just two dudes kneeling and then one pulling guard to try a guillotine, and it didn't work. And it wasn't the level of uh-oh wasn't there, so I didn't give it an advantage. And now the Australian fellow is in the guy's half guard, and he's looking to pass to side control. And the guy on the bottom has half guard, and obviously doesn't want the guy to pass. And you'll see in a moment, and I'm watching carefully there, you can see the fellow on the bottom is looking for a sweep, and this would be a sweep because it does involve a guard. It's not a turnover, it's a sweep. It's not a pin escape. It would be, even from half guard, if you go bottom to top, that would be a sweep because it involves use of the guard. And there you go. So there, he's on top, but then he goes back to the bottom again. So here, let's pause this for just a second. So what happened there? The Australian guy passed to side control, right? Or he was passing to side control. And the guy on the bottom, who's still in the bottom, kind of bridged, and for a second there, he kind of got on top. But then, again, from kneeling, he sat back to a guillotine, and the Australian fellow jumped over his legs and is now mounted. So, the guy in black, does he get points? No. He didn't go bottom to top and then maintain the top position for 3 seconds. You know, if he had done that, maybe I would have given him the 2 points for a sweep. And now this fellow on the top, right? He has mounted him, but is in a guillotine. So does he get his 3 for the pass and 4 for the mount? Not yet. He's stuck in a guillotine. You can't get points when you're stuck in a submission hold. You can get points when you're doing a submission to somebody else, but you can't get points when you are caught in a submission. And this fellow with the jeans is standing in front of my camera, but you can still see. So he's out of the guillotine. I give him the 3 for the pass and the 4 for the mount. I don't know what else. I think the table might have screwed up some points I awarded there. Anyway, so now the Australian guy, I believe, is winning 7-2 in points. 4 for the mount and 3 for the pass. The other fellow would have 2 for the earlier takedown. And I think the other fellow on the bottom has an advantage for almost sweeping the Australian fellow from just, moments ago when he briefly turned him and then got, pulled guillotine, and that's led to this. So. And now the Australian fellow, I think, was attempting a back take, but didn't quite land it. So now he's on the bottom. And that would be a mount escape for the fellow in black, which isn't worth any points. Escaping mount, escaping side control, escaping knee on belly or north-south. Noble, but not worth any points, right? So now the Australian fellow's on his back. And the fellow in the black is trying a body lock pass of sorts. And I'm thinking, man, he's lingering a bit here. Even though he's down on points, he's not really making a forward progression. So I'm looking at my watch here because I'm thinking I might want to give this guy a stalling penalty. But then this happens. So again, see how the guy in the Australian fellow has gotten to his knees? Right? So they're both kneeling. From kneeling, is there potential here for a sweep to occur? No, because kneeling is not the guard. And is anyone standing? No, so it won't be takedowns either. So what's this? Watch this. Now that's cool. He's gone bottom to top. But is that a sweep? No, he did it when they were both kneeling. And it's not a takedown either, so it's not worth any points, which is why I'm not giving anybody any points. If you have any questions or comments about what I'm saying or what I'm doing in the video, just put them in the comments below. The match is over, and the Australian fellow has won. Or maybe he's from New Zealand, I don't know. For the whole passing guard, mounting thing, he got 7. The other guy, I believe, had 2 in advantage, And here we are. Both cool guys. I believe both of these are local fellows. I'll just refer to them by black pants and white pants. I'm telling them again that, the only foot lock is the straight Achilles. Wrist locks are allowed. I like to make sure blue belts know that, because sometimes they don't. So, the one guy pulled butterfly guard. I didn't give it any points. Here, let's just look at that again. I think maybe I should have given that one points. Here, let's rewind it for a second. Let's watch. Yeah, that should have been 2. See how he plucked the leg there as the guy was pulling? But as the ref, I didn't see it at the time. Here, let's watch that again. I'll show you. Watch this. See right there? See how he's holding the guy's leg? This should have been 2 points. But I didn't see it, so I didn't give it. And as the referee, you can only award points for what you see. Did I give that points there for a second? Hold on a second. No, I was just adjusting my glasses. So anyway, like I say, you can only award points for what you see. And at the time, I didn't see that hand there, so I didn't give it the 2 points. The fellow in black is using a butterfly guard. The fellow in white is trying a body lock pass. Sweep attempt. He's up on top for a second and then back down again. So I gave an advantage to the guy in the bottom for that sweep attempt because he was on top of him for a second. Now he's got some kind of X-guard thing going on. He's chasing a footlock. See, now he's got a single leg X. He's really chasing that footlock. But the fellow in the white pants is doing a good job of not getting his foot broken. He's getting nice and close to the guy. When it's belly down footlock like this, sometimes your best defense is to try and get your head as close as possible to the other guy's head, because that way the guy can't really extend and apply pressure to the foot, so to speak. If you can get close to him and tie yourself onto him, then you're getting all cuddly and stuff. He can't get the distance he needs to apply a footlock. you know. There's a few guys in the world who are quite good at footlocks. Cavaca is one of them. I fought that guy years ago in Brazil, and just in the club, but you know. Anyway, the taller guys can sometimes do footlocks. Here I'm awarding 2 points to the guy on top. I think it's... Generally what's happened, I'm just going to stop the video for sometimes. Sometimes with footlocks, what happens is it's the person on top that falls back to get a footlock, right? And then the other person, the footlockee, sometimes gets up, clears it, etc., etc. That wasn't the case with this one, right? With this one, the guy in the black pants was on the bottom, attacked the footlock, and then the white guy escaped it and got on top. So it's interesting in this video, I've made 2 mistakes. One, I didn't give the guy in the white pants the 2 for holding the leg off the takedown there, but now I have given him 2 points for doing this, even though he was on top the whole time. So, you know, it's all worked out in the end. You know, but as a referee, the best you can do is the best you can do. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's all squared away now. Yeah. And now I'm giving an advantage to the fellow with the black pants for that footlock attempt, because it was pretty on, you know? So the score now, correctly, is 2 for the fellow in white, and an advantage for the fellow in the black pants. Just turning him over, sir. There you go. So now I gave an advantage to the fellow in the white pants there for almost taking the back. And now I'm giving him 4 points for mounting, because he was mounted there for a bit. This is going to be 4 for taking the back. There it is. And that's the body triangle. That's not worth any points. You're allowed to do it, and after you've got your 4 points for the, you know, for the hooks in, you can switch to this if you like. But if you do this off the hop, you don't have to do this first. The body triangle is not worth any points. So keep that in mind. And the fellow in the white pants continues to attack the back of the fellow in the black pants, who is doing his best to defend himself. What's the score right now? I think the fellow in white has 6 points and maybe 2 advantages, and the fellow with the green anklet, I believe, only has an advantage for that footlock attempt. And that was a good attempt as a footlock, but here we're standing. I give the fellow in white another advantage there. That's a good throw attempt, but I don't give that anything because he didn't get on top and he didn't really hold it for any time at all, so it's not worth much. Not worth anything. And now the guy in white takes him down, holds him down, 3 points, bag in. So as the referee, you know, did I make a mistake or 2 there? Yeah, I did. But at the end of the day, the right guy's arm is getting lifted. You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing. You know what I mean? So that and nobody get hurt, right? The correct guy wins and nobody gets hurt. You know? So here we are now in the finals. I'm telling them that, you know, the only footlock you're allowed is the Achilles lock, and wrist locks are okay, because sometimes blue belts don't know that. I remember years ago I had a blue belt match with a guy who was like, he wrist locked me, man! And I was like, yeah, that's allowed at blue belt, pal. Anyway, whatever. So these 2 dudes are squaring off with each other. They both won their earlier matches. You know, the Australian fellow beat the one guy by Darce choke. I felt he put the guy unconscious. And then he won the second one by points. You know, he passed the guard and mounted the guy. The fellow in the white pants there, I think he got a bye in the opening round. And then in the earlier match that we just watched, he won by a considerable amount of points. You know what I mean? He took the guy down there because he cupped the knee, and then he mounted him, and he defended that footlock, and got a takedown at the end there, and took his back, and, you know, a couple other things. Almost took his back, you know. Actually, he almost took his back, then he did take his back, and then he almost took his back again. Anyway, this is very interesting. So watch this. So right here, the Australian fellow, the guy in the blue and white shirt there, you can't really see it, but he says to me, is slamming allowed, right? Which is not relevant to what's occurring here, because this would not be a slam. This is a takedown, right? A slam is when someone is already on the ground and you pick them up and slam them, okay? And I don't know if you can see it, but I say to him, just go for it, just do whatever. You know, but then, so you can see him saying there. And then the Australian fellow just lets him go. And the other guy's doing a guillotine now. You know, because the other guy thought, if I throw him, I might get DQ'd for a slam. But a throw is not a slam. If it was, every judo throw would be illegal. You know, a slam is when somebody's already down and then you, like Russian wrestler Alexander Karelin, pick them up and slam them back to the mat again. That would be a slam. So it wouldn't apply, you know. If it's a sweep, it's not a slam. If it's a throw, it's not a slam. If it's a slam, then it's a slam. Anyway, now the guy is doing a guillotine. So it all went off the rails there because that one fellow didn't have a good understanding of what qualifies as a slam. And I'm trying to explain it to him there while they're wrestling away there. You know what I mean? Even though that's not my job as a referee to explain rules to people, you know, just makes my job easier when they understand the rules. So now I'm stopping them to explain to them, because, you know, there's been just a break in the action. I want to make sure they're up to speed on what's going on here. Even though it's not my job to do this, I want to explain to the guy, listen, you had him up, you could have put him down. That would have been 2. You know, see? A slam is when you lift a guy and blast him against the mat after he's already down. You know? And I say, if it's a sweep, it's not a slam. If it's a throw, it's not a slam. It's only a slam if the guy's already down, you lift him and blast him. You know? Which he didn't do. And now they're back to it again. Looking for various takedown attempts and stuff. So the Australian fellow here is looking for a takedown, right? He's got an overhook there and whatnot. But watch what happens here. He's not getting his takedown, right? Oh, and I'm giving an advantage, by the way. I'm giving an advantage to the one fellow for doing a guillotine right now. But watch what the Australian guy does. He's in his guard now, right? Watch this. And from here, he puts the guy over. Right? So I gave the guy in the white pants an advantage for doing that earlier guillotine. Now, this is a sweep, right? He tried to throw, it didn't work, he pulled guard, and then he used a butterfly hook to turn the guy over. Now he's on top. And he's in the guillotine again, but so I'm not giving the points for that sweep yet. Because of that guillotine. He's out. I'm checking to make sure I'm giving the points to the right guy. See? I'm giving the points, the 2 points with my green wristband. I'm giving it to the guy with the anklet because he tried to throw, didn't work, pulled guard, and swept him, and then was in a guillotine, and now he got up. So I've given him the 2 for the sweep, not the throw, because there was no throw. And now the other fellow in the white pants is doing a sweep. Up he goes. There's the 2. Maybe a little bit early for that, but still, hey, that's a sweep worth 2. And he's mounted. There's the 4. There's the 4 for the mount, right? What's the score now? Is it just 6-2 for the guy on top? Maybe. But imagine how this match would have gone had the Australian fellow gotten that throw instead of asking me questions about slamming earlier, you know? Who's to say? Anyway, he's now trying to go from mount to back. Back would be another 4. He doesn't quite have it. His feet are not in the correct position. See, he's got his feet crossed and they're over the guy's hip. They need to be on the inner thighs of your opponent. You know, he doesn't have that, so I'm not awarding any points yet. And then the fellow escapes. He's still trying to, so I'm giving him an advantage for almost taking the back. He's now threatening something. Some kind of inverted arm lock. Yeah, he's threatening some kind of inverted arm lock there. See, it's pretty on. You can't see it from here, but it's pretty on. I give him an advantage for that. One for almost taking the back, and one for that inverted arm lock attempt. Now the fellow in his white pants is on the bottom. And the Australian fellow is obviously looking to pass, or what have you. And the fellow in the white pants is way up on points, or I think he's up 6-2 with a couple advantages, I think. I should shoot these with the score, visible, but with the fence there, it's hard to put my camera there, Plus someone in the crowd may just steal it. Anyway. The Australian fellow is still looking to pass the guard. He's down on points. The fellow in the white pants is trying to stop his pass attempts. He's doing a good job of that. The Australian fellow has gotten, so now they're on their knees. See? Like so. And see here, for some reason, and I don't know why, but for some reason I'm now awarding 2 to the Australian fellow. Even though, here, let's rewind it for a second. I wanted to bust my own balls here a little bit. See? So he was in his guard, right? He's looking to pass. The guy gets to his knees, right? So because they're both on their knees now, it's not a takedown, it's not a sweep. Right? At no point did they get to their knee and get to their feet. If they'd gotten to their feet for 3 seconds, it would have been a standing position again, but they didn't. He's getting attacked with a footlock kind of thing here. And for some reason, I'm giving him 2. I think I got a little confused there and thought that was a takedown. It wasn't, though. Maybe I thought he went bottom to top, but he hadn't. He was on top before. See, and now I'm taking that away. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Right, first I gave the 2 points to the guy on the bottom, which, weren't warranted, and then I gave them to the guy on top, which curiously also seems to be not warranted, so I don't know what the hell I did that for. Well, I just kind of talked about it, whatever. I thought it was a takedown. Anyway, he's attacking a footlock there. I'm keeping an eye on it. The beanbag comes in, call it a day. And I'm giving an advantage to that guy for doing the footlock, because I guess I thought it was quite on, So at the end there, I don't know what the hell I was doing with that 2 points, but the right guy won. The right guy's going to win, There you go. So there you go. If you have any questions or comments or criticism or whatever, put it in the comments below. See you at the next tournament.